really important that we had to just step by step going through. So on the seller information sheet, number one question, who are they? Tell me what your goals are for buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Number two, what is going to have to happen for you to achieve these goals? Then it's contact information. Do they need a CMA? Make sure you get all contact information. I like to have a little something on there about family, kids, and interests. Always kind of gets that common bond. Number three, what are your biggest concerns about selling your current home, moving to the next phase of their lives? Why are you selling? Plans if you're successful in selling your home. Biggest motivations to move at this point in your life. How could you control this when you'd be perfect time to move? How long have you owned this home? What happened to my Ramsey? There's in the way in the back of the room. Yeah. Ramsey, what was remember my trial close question? On a scale of 10 being moving tomorrow, one not moving for a while. Where were you at? And what are they always going to say? 5, 6. So what's your comeback to that? What would have to happen? What would have to happen for it to be a 10? Yeah. And I play around with that a little bit. It's like, well, I don't know. We haven't done anything to the house yet. We haven't done this. We haven't done that. Blah, 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 everything else. If somebody walked up to the door and said, I'm interested in buying your house. I will pay you whatever you're asking for the house. Would they sell? Would you sell? Yeah. No. Right. You wouldn't sell? If they're going to give you $1 million for a $400,000 house, would you sell? Absolutely. Okay. So it's not about motivations. It's about price. And that's my kind of my comeback that I would have with them. But this first step of seller information is just so important that you're taking control of the buying or the selling situation. You're in control. This is your roadmap right here. This is going to tell you what you've got to do in order to try to get their listing, try to get that appointment and things like that. Okay, so back to listings. Why do we want to concentrate on listings? You're going to make more money, aren't you, on a listing than a buy side? Because you're controlling the commission, right? If you're selling, I wish Carrie was in here because Carrie's got an offer on her $120,000 condo. Okay, perfect example. What should you be charging for commission on a $120,000 sale? Jackie, what would you charge?
Charge our normal.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't discriminate.
You don't discriminate? I don't. I would charge 8%. I would charge 8 or 8.5% if I'm going on a cheaper, if I'm doing a lot loan or something like that. I got to make $4,000 or $5,000. It's not worth it for me to mess around with it. So, but you can adjust your commission as it is. If you've got to drive a longer distance, like I am Friday morning, you got to drive a longer distance. Okay. You got to have more time involved with that. If you're going to have to do a lot different type of marketing, that's going to cost you more money. Okay. So you can adjust your commission accordingly on the situation. Right. Why? More inventory. We definitely need more inventory. Yeah. If you're working with a buyer, how many other buyers are you going to get out of that one buyer? Not a lot, right? Hopefully they're going to refer somebody to you. But out of 10 buyers, how many of them are going to refer somebody to you? Of the ones that they refer, are you actually getting an appointment, getting contract with them, finding them a house and everything else? Okay. But on a rule of thumb is typically for every listing you should get 1.5 buyers out of that listing. Okay. And then the question is, what can you do to get more listings out of that listing? And we're going to talk about that too. Obviously, you get more transactions, you get better exposure. If your name is out there on that sign, you're going to get more exposure, right? You got a chance of dual agency, right? You can work with more sellers than buyers. When I had a team, we generally would always look at that. A buyer's agent would probably handle 4 to 6 buyers. But a listing specialist could handle 12 sellers. because you got an admin person that's doing a lot of the work on a listing. And in terms of the appointment, you're going in on the first appointment, hopefully getting that contract, and a lot of it you're handing off to the listing coordinator at that time. So you can work with a lot more sellers than you can with buyers. You're not out running around and everything else, right? Increase your average sale price. Whenever we sit down doing business planning, I always go, what's your average sale price on a list side? What's your average sale price on a buy side? Typically, it's about $40,000 to $50,000 more as average sale price on a list side than what it is a buy side. Okay. Productivity, less competition, lose buyers. Can't remember what that one was because the market was too tight. Yeah. More decision makers to on a buy side, more decision makers to kill the deal. You know, if they're, and then that's what we're hearing right now. So many buyers are backing out right now, aren't they? So these are some of the reasons that you want to do listings. The big bottom line is on listings is when you become a listing specialist, when you become a listing guru, listing specific, your business just takes off. It absolutely takes off. When people know that you're a great listing agent. There's some really great listing agents out there. Aaron Lowe with Compass, Kale Hassan with Remax. There's some big agents out there that are doing 75, 80% of their business is listing business. That's the way I was. I was just listing. Very, very seldom worked with buyers myself personally. And I think our biggest year, we did 78 closings on listings, our biggest year. But our goal was always 50 to 60 listings, closings a year. Because again, we had whole processes in place to get buyers to come in off of all of our listings. Okay, we're going to kind of spend some time talking about that. Okay, so how do you get listings? What is the number one thing that you have to do in order to switch your percentage from heavy buy side to light listing to vice versa, to go heavy listing side, less buys? First thing you have to change is what? Mindset. Totally, your mindset is the first thing that you have to change. I remember we had some listing contest. Jane, I don't remember if you remember with us. We had listing contests on our team, and we were just going so heavy on the listings. We'd set a goal for some crazy 60-day period of time. And we didn't hit the goal. We definitely took a heck of a lot more listings out of the team than we did before, but it was an entire mindset change. Our buyers agents were really generating, talking about listings instead of the buy sides. Admin was doing the exact same thing. All of our marketing was all geared towards listing. The first thing you have to do is you have to totally set a different mindset. Okay. And we're going to talk about that. Your listing presentation, your value proposition, how you market for it. Everything has to change. So you have to build a business plan, right? If you're going to switch and you're going to become heavy listing, you got to build a business plan and you got to figure out, okay, this is everything I'm going to change. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Okay. But some other ways that you can do it. Farming. I came up with this idea last night. I think it's kind of crazy, but throwing this out there. Yeah. If you sell a house and you take a picture in front of their new house, like you know how everybody puts it on social media, hey, my clients just bought a new house, welcome, blah, blah, blah. If you took that picture and got permission of the buyers, would you be okay if I shared this picture out to your neighbors so that they could welcome you into the neighborhood? How many of your buyers do you think would allow you to do that? What percentage of them?
I bet you 90.
80 or 90%? Now, if you're in your neighborhood, my neighborhood, they just got a new neighbor down the street. Okay. And I get this little postcard in the mail with a picture of this couple in front of their new house. That's one of my new neighbors, right? And just wanted you to know, welcome Jennifer and Tyler to to your new neighborhood, meet your new neighbors, something like that. This little postcard that comes out. You as a homeowner, would you look at that negatively? No. Have you ever had anything like that before? No. If Jennifer and Tyler are walking down the street, taking their dog for a walk, are you gonna stop and talk to them?
As a new homeowner?
As a new homeowner, yeah,
We've been there for a few months. I have met
nobody.
Nobody's come to my house. Nobody said, welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
No, I met one neighbor next door because he was out home when I was,
Yeah,
and that's it. So.
and it's tough on yours because you guys acreage lots.
No, we're not acres.
Oh, you're not acreage lots. Okay, you're city there. Okay, okay.
But I think that's
Yeah.
genius because.
Acreage are a little tougher because you're
For
going
sure,
for a
yeah.
walk and they got a
Yeah.
75-foot driveway.
Right,
You know, that's a little different, but yeah. It
That-
have to get permission from the buyers because you're putting them out there, and I wouldn't even put their last name or anything like that. I probably wouldn't put their address. But I just wanted to introduce you to your new neighbors, Jennifer and Tyler. They're so excited to meet you. Just something like that. And you can go and remind, what are they, Bert? 57 cents?
Yeah.
Less than that?
Yeah.
So you could send out 100 of them for $60.
We used to do popcorn, so we used to have a little popcorn container, put a couple things of popcorn in there. And then have a little take. It wasn't as like, that would be great because it's so many and you can't do that pop by one.
Yeah,
It
right.
just said, just popping by to, introduce you to your new neighbors. We had to get permission, of course. We put their name and then just like something they were looking forward to in the neighborhood, or like, oh, they have 2 kids, they're looking forward, to the park down the street or whatever.
Right,
But we only did 5. So I mean, like, that's great because yours would be much more extensive.
right.
But, and then we just popped by, left them on, we didn't even knock. We just left them on the doorstep.
Hmm.
You know what, even I have a medium hybrid of that. We talked before about lump mail, doing, I don't know if it's popcorn, to find out some other cheeky thing that you could put in there instead of doing a postcard, mailing hand address.
Hmm.
And some kind of something, I love having an idea of what they're looking forward to or something that they're okay with. This is genius, I
Mhm.
think that's awesome.
Right.
The poster thing is cool because like, we stopped doing just solds because that's about you.
Everybody, yep.
Right.
And so the postcard's kind of cool. It's like a just sold, but.
Yeah.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
So I
absolutely.
thought that's-
You could do a QR code on the postcard to get a current market update on your property, right? You could have links to your website. You could do a QR code link to your website. What else could you do with that? I'm just thinking, I mean, you're farming a new neighborhood based on the fact you sold a house to a buyer in that neighborhood and you're
Even
farming it.
video of them Saying like, we're super excited for the neighborhood and we're so thankful for Paul,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
That's just-
There's so much that you could do with it. And you're setting yourself so apart because I've not seen it done at this point. And the only negative I can come up with it is the
Privacy.
privacy issue. And there's going to be some people that are private and they don't want to meet their neighbors. I got in my neighborhood, this guy on this side, Ryan, a great friend of mine, and we hang out and he's a super guy. And the one on this side over here, I just know him as Kenny and I just wave at him over the fence. And they're that type. Next to them are a husband and wife that are both pharmacists. And I don't even know their names. We've been neighbors for over 20 years. And they drive into their garage, shut the door, and that's it. They don't go outside, so yeah, so some are that way. So, but 80%, if you do 80% of them for $60, that's pretty cheap. So just an idea that I had. Yeah. Farming. Okay. Raise your hand if you started a farm. Okay. Who's doing, raise your hand, real marketing? Jane, are you doing real marketing? Kind of. Garrett, doing real marketing? Where?
Oh, real marketing, what, isn't that magazine thing? Yeah.
No, that's
That's reminder meeting.
Reminder Media. Yeah. Real markets. We're talking just about farming right now. Okay. So where's your farm? The TPC. Okay. Okay. I think Burke had the TPC, but I think that might be open now. Yeah. Yeah. Let me take a look at that. Who is it? Gene, help me out. Did Wendy just get her first contract?
Wendy and
Yeah.
Terry both.
Yes.
Both Terry, yeah, both of them just got first contracts on real marketing. Actually, I did too, because I wrote an offer. We didn't get the house, but I did. But I've got, mine is probably 3 to 4 transactions deep off of my first client that I got contacted me back on real marketing. And again, one closing beyond pays for an entire year of real marketing, you know, but you got to be patient on it. Okay. Who's doing other type of farming? Raise your hand. Ramsey.
Just to remind, sending out postcards to Mary Park neighborhood where I have my listing earlier this year.
Okay. How often are you sending them out?
Every 6 to 8 weeks or so,
Okay. And how long have you been doing it?
since I sold the property in April.
In April. Okay. Any contact from anybody yet? Okay. How long do you got to give it?
2 years.
2 years. Absolutely. Yep. And if those that got involved with real marketing, one of the things that they did is they took a look at neighborhoods and they wanted, I think it was make sure there was nobody over 10%. That was, does anybody remember? That 10% of one agent that had more than 10% market share in a neighborhood, wasn't it 10? Yeah, so, you know, and there very few neighborhoods had that, you know, but there is a couple neighborhoods around that are really strong. Jeannie, how many transactions a year do you think Gary Smith sells out of Oaks of Shenandoah?
I bet he's got.
10, 12? Yeah, 15?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Had 3.
yeah.
Same time.
So let's say he's got 10, 12 at an $8,500 average commission. So he's got $80,000 to $100,000 a year in commissions coming in. What if he gave up after 6 months?
Right.
What if he gave up after 2 years and didn't do it? And look where it's at today. And that's the thing about farming. Anytime you start to look at your expense account saying, okay, I'm not getting anything out of this. Okay. What if you would have started that farm 2 years ago? That's the question I'll always ask you. So farming, really important. Okay. Just sold, just listed. Just raise your hand if you do just sold, just listed after every. Okay. That absolutely should be on your radar. And you don't have to do a ton of them. You can do 100 houses. But when you take a listing, you do it Remind, you can do it One Design, Creative Suite. You can do a lot of different ways you can do that. But you take a listing, you should have a budget for $100, probably $150 or so. So just depending on whether you're an acreage neighborhood or city neighborhood or stuff like that, but get that just listed postcard out there, get that just sold postcard out there. It's part of your marketing dollars that you're spending on a listing, is that, okay? And at any point, somebody jump in, okay? Circle prospecting. Who circle prospects? We got one. Tell us your story, Garrett, on circle prospecting.
Well, you can't give up, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
You gotta, you no, or not at this time, but don't stop.
I want your specific story though.
No, it's my specific story.
Your $1 million house that you circle prospect.
To me, circle prospecting isn't that when you're talking to your.
A lot of different ways it can be. You had a buyer, very specific what they wanted. Was what?
They wanted a slab on grade home with an underground pool.
With an underground pool. Specific neighborhood?
Specific neighborhood, but between highways and
Okay.
county roads.
And how did you?
Yeah, he had, I mean, this guy has bought like 15 homes over the years and still owns them, like I could go with any realtor, you know. And I decided to take on the challenge because the price range was higher and just went on Google Maps and started looking at all these places with pools. And then I went into Remind and North Star to figure out if they were underground or not, and some of them didn't even have that information. So I called as many as I could calling and door knocked the other ones, and that led to other agents, because one of the guys who I talked to was a commercial broker who had a home that fit the criteria, and then he passed my information on to
His agent.
yeah, one of his agents, and then that ended up having a home coming up for sale, so that's how it ended up circling back, and then they let us see it before it went on the market and we got the deal,
And price range
1.2 million.
and your commission amount,
32,000.
was that circle prospecting worth it?
Absolutely.
Okay, when I asked if you circle prospect, there's only one person that raised their hand. That's the story, okay?
That would be a realtor for life, right?
No,
You'll be a realtor now.
well, I don't know, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'd be staying on top of him though. But circle prospecting can be a lot of different things, right? You can circle prospect around an existing listing. If you're working with the buy side searching for a neighborhood, you can circle prospect into a neighborhood that they want to go to. You can circle prospect, you're looking for a specific house for somebody. So circle prospecting can be a lot of different things. All the circle is the circle of a neighborhood or of a specific home and stuff like that. You're just contacting that way. And you can circle prospect by calling them with Remind, get your phone numbers off of Remind, or cold directory. I think Remind, and we found more numbers and emails off of Remind than cold directory we did. There's some different ways that you can do it, or you can get out there and door knock. Yep, get out there and door knock, absolutely. Your sphere absolutely needs to know that you are shifting gears. Okay, what a great touch that you can do, right? Let them know that, hey, market update, you know, we're no longer going 90 miles an hour, we're going 65 miles an hour, but we're still speeding, right? We're still speeding, we're going 65 miles an hour. The market is shifting, all right? The buyers are slowing down. We're not getting into multiple offers. Tell the story, okay? But we still have buyers. We still have buyers that want to buy. Interest rates are still good, okay? We still need homes, all right? So I'm doing a listing blitz. Just tell the story, get that message out. Who do you know that needs to sell? Who do you know that needs to take advantage of a good market? It is a good market right now, you guys. If we wouldn't have gone through what we went through the last 2 years, you guys would be totally happy with the market that we're at right now. You absolutely would be, okay? Door knocking, talked about that. Top 50. How can you market to your top 50 to try to get listing referrals from them? What's some different ideas?
That would be that amazing.
Reminder media.
Is that 50, they have 50 tiers. They do 50, 100, 150, so you can do that to your
Yeah.
top 50.
You got to have that message. It just got to be talking listings, listings, listings. Who do you know that wants to sell? Okay. Ramsey, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, getting creative with sending gifts or doing more pop buys in relation.
Lumpy mail. Yeah. And the message is all about who do you know that wants to sell? Okay. Does your clientele probably have an aging parent or grandparent? Chances are pretty good, right? Chances are they have to sell, right? At some point, something's going to happen. My father, who's turning 90 in October, has refused once again to sell his house and go into a independent living facility. And he says, no, we're staying here. So, and his family has told him repeatedly, well, it really sucks, Dad, because unfortunately, when you are going to move, then it's because you're going to be forced to move. He's got stairs downstairs to the laundry, right? At some point, him or his wife are going to fall. And then he's going to be forced to sell, where he could go out on his own terms right now and choose where he wants to go. But at 90, you're not going to change them. But they are out there in force. And they're going to turn over. Look at Fridley, look at Coon Rapids, look at Blaine, Brooklyn Center, right? Robbinsdale. They're going to change over. It's going to happen. Okay. Referrals, obviously, just make a consistent marketing message. Differentiate with other sellers. Ramsey and I talked a little bit about a value proposition yesterday. A value proposition is you should have a slogan. You should have why you're different. What do you do different? And when you kind of are working on your value proposition, ask yourself, what I say to Ramsey, you were giving me your value proposition. Do you remember it yesterday?
Just like every other agent.
just like every other agent. As soon as you come up with your value proposition, can you end it with the statement, just like every other agent? Oh, I love working with people. You know, why do they want to get in real estate, Lynn?
Oh, yeah.
Unlimited income. I can set my own hours. I love talking to people
It's easy.
and I love HGTV and it's easy. Just like every other agent, right? Just like every other. So when you're coming up with your value proposition, it has to be something specific. What were we kind of talking about your value proposition? Do you remember?
Education.
Education. Yeah. Yeah. Got to figure out what are you going to do differently? And I was thinking about that last night, and that's when I came up with the idea about the buyer introduction to the neighborhoods and stuff like that. Things that you do differently. I do this and this and this differently. Okay, and that's what sets you apart. It's not like everybody else. Define the pain points. Okay, why are they, we just talked about that with the senior market and stuff like that, the pain points. What's the biggest reason the seniors aren't selling right now? Number one reason.
Are they afraid of going to a nursing home?
Change. Afraid of change. It's so hard as you get older and you get into these routines and you just don't want that change. And that's the hard part about them. And unfortunately, you see it time and time and time again, is that when they are forced to sell, it's because they fell typically. It's because of an injury and stuff. So increase your listing conversion rate, become the neighborhood expert, goes a lot with the farming and stuff. Don't cut corners. You got to consistently do it. Utilize reviews, testimonials, get a newsletter going, do market reports. You can do business to business. Do CMAs to all your past buyers. You were working on that, weren't you, Jackie?
Yeah, we do it in January. This year we were gonna do it in July, and because the market shift, we did
Yeah.
not do it, but we sent out a Twin Cities market update
Yeah,
with kind of all the different things from Minneapolis Realtor saying, you know, it's still a good, and then the stats, and then kind of explaining that. 'Cause
right.
they're listening to the media, and that's not what the
Yeah,
statistics are.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so instead of sending a CMA that I didn't feel would be accurate because the market had changed so much, we ended up doing a letter, and then of course saying if you wanted to know what that meant for your
Yeah.
house or whatever. let me
Yeah,
know.
Jackie and Shelby have been doing some great postings right now, talking kind of about the myths in the market, stop the noise. I was kind of saying that. You guys had some great messages this past week about this is really what's happening because people just don't know. Shelby, give Shelby kudos for that. Okay, so yes, maybe you've not been in the business a ton of time and you don't have a lot of past buyers, people that you sold houses to that are in a house to send a CMA to. Who else could you send them to?
Here,
Strangers.
or
Okay.
anybody.
Pick what is in a 10-mile radius of where we're sitting at right now. What is one of the hottest products? Neighborhood, home type, that kind of stuff. What would be one of the hottest products right now? Just pick something. Detached townhouses? Yeah, one level detached townhouses. Can you go into MLS and do a search for detached townhome buyers that bought between 2010 and 2016? Could you come up with a big list? Okay, can you reach out to them? Absolutely. Just circle prospect them, just like you would look for a house. Okay. Now, maybe they've got a relationship with an agent. You got that little thing at the bottom that says, if you're currently under contract with another agent, please disregard this mailing, right? But you still can reach out to them. You can still circle prospect them. You can do a farm on them. We talked about the 1 home 3 options, get market reports out to your clients, CMAs and listing reports and things like that. So this is a business plan right here. If you just take this and you pick 6 things, 8 things that you're going to do in your business, okay, that's starting. This is your value proposition right here. This is starting that process of becoming listing heavy, listing specific agent. So figure out whatever it is, 6 things, 8 things that you're going to do. Now start building that business plan to it. How am I going to attack my top 50? How am I going to circle prospect and stuff like that. How am I going to be doing that? And time block it and put it into place. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about that packet that I handed out to everybody. So seller information sheet. Anybody got any questions on this or thoughts on this or something you do differently that works? How many use Post-it notes? Right? Okay, how many Post-it notes, Jody, you got on your desk?
Otherwise I forget.
Yeah. It's just so easy to have this folder handy and ready to go. As soon as you get that referral, as soon as you get a phone call, you grab the folder and everything's there for you. Okay. And this, you know, sometimes you're going to talk to somebody and they're not ready to meet with you right now. Right. Or you meet with them, do a CMA, and then all of a sudden they call you a year or two later. I had one that contacted me 7 years after they had come through an open house. And I went back in my files. I keep a bank box full of my old files. I went back on it. And this is what I pulled out. And like, oh, now I remember them. That was the Malleys. I remember that, everything about their house. And all of a sudden, oh, God, I remember their house. I remember where it's located at and everything else. But otherwise, I just remembered the name. I didn't remember anything about them. So I kept this file. Okay. Seller information sheet. I also put in here proposed marketing plan. This was, oh my God, I can't even remember how long ago this was. This has been a while ago. I knew I was going in against other agents doing listing presentations. And I knew that I wanted the listing. I remember that. But I just put together and I added this into when I sat down and met with them, something in black and white that could show them specifically what I was going to do for marketing. In my listing presentation, which we'll go through in a second, I did have, you know, what we do for marketing and stuff like that, kind of on an overview. But like it'll say in my listing presentation that we do a lot of drone aerial pictures and videos. Okay. But the people are living in Coon Rapids and there's somebody 60 feet on the backside of their house. Do we want an aerial pic of that? No. Or there's the train tracks on the backside of the house. Do we want an aerial pic of that? No. Okay. So this was specific to this property. And I'm just sharing this with you, kind of get you some ideas about the things that we did as a team when we took a listing, some of the different things we did. And think about if you're a seller and your agent. Now this is, you remember when this might have been, Amy? I know I got your name on here a bunch. Yeah. I'm seeing it 2016, 2017, 2018, somewhere in that time frame. It was a whole different animal. You had to do a lot of things hitting the nail on the head for getting a listing sold. You really did. You had to do a lot of marketing, a lot of staging, a lot of get ready and stuff like that. You had to be firing on all cylinders to get those houses sold and get them sold in a quick time frame. But I just kind of put this out there. But if you were a seller and somebody came in and shared with you this plan and took the time to go over it step by step, do you think another agent's doing that? Probably not, right? Probably not.
Agent guided tour video. I was only $350.
Agent guided tour video. I didn't see it.
We did all of our photos and stuff.
Yeah.
It literally was like a whole video of me walking through the house. They did drones and put together this whole. Beautiful.
Oh, on your new Rambler.
No, somebody expressed that agent video add-on tour also. Yeah.
Okay. You should post that on our Facebook page, our family Facebook page.
$70 for the listing photo and $350 for the agent guided tour. Wow. In 2 days, it had over 400. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Fantastic. 400 views.
There were no but I mean, it was worth it.
Yeah.
You don't like to see yourself on camera.
Right.
Over and over and over.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, if somebody's selling $1 million house and they see that video. Mm-hmm.
They're full of it. But price point's like 6 million off. Yeah, one of your first deals with us. But one of your first deals with us, I remember seeing that. Yeah, she was,
Okay, let's keep going. We're gonna talk now about, we've got the listing appointment, right? We've got the listing appointment. You hopefully have gotten as much information from them. You followed the seller information sheet. You know what their hot buttons are. You know what their exit plan is. You know what their motivation is on a scale 1 to 10, right? You know what buttons you need to push while you're there. You know that hopefully you know if there's other agents that you're gonna be competing up against, right? But the good part is you got the listing appointment. Okay, now it's time to show. Now it's time to shine. There's a number of different ways that you can go about doing it. Why don't we pull up the Canva presentation? This is what I do. And I'm just going to share this with you. This is, so with the listing presentation, raise your hand if you're using Moxie Engage. Not Engage, Present. Moxie Present. All right, perfect. Love that. Probably 75% of the group. If you're not using Moxie Present and you go up against one of us, maybe you're going to have 2 ROGC agents that are going in a listing presentation and you're not using the Moxie Present, you're probably going to get beaten out. Okay. It is a great presentation. Everybody does things differently. What I do is I put this presentation together and I do it. I will put comps in there. Okay. If I'm not going up against other agents, I'm probably going to put comps in there, but I'm not doing adjustments to the comps because I haven't been in the subject property yet. Right. But I'm just sending out the comps with a note saying that I will do adjustments to the comps once I visit their house, right? But I'm sending this out ahead of time, right? Why am I doing that? Why am I giving them this information before I meet with them?
You don't overwhelm them.
What's that?
You don't overwhelm them.
Don't overwhelm them,
and then kind of thinking price wise.
right?
Showing them that you actually care about their transactions, basically.
Yeah,
And to save yourself time in the meeting.
yeah. The reason I'm doing it is because I don't want to waste my time. If they want $400,000 for a $250,000 house, do you really want to go on that listing appointment? Move on to the next one. So flush it out. If you get the phone call where they're saying, well, I got your presentation over and, you know, I think we're probably just going to hang on to our house now. My next question would be, I take it you were thinking your house was worth more than what your neighbor sold for? Well, yeah, I wouldn't sell my house for anywhere close to that. Okay, no problem. Keep me in mind. Houses are appreciating right now at close to 10%. You know, maybe a couple more years, you can get up to that area where you want to be or something like that. But I don't want to waste my time going in an appointment if we're so far apart, you know. What I want to do is when I go in listing presentation, after I show them the numbers, I shut up, I turn it over to them, I look at them and I watch their body language. And my best closing line is, I take it this is higher than what you were expecting. And they're like, yeah. I go, sounds like you found your new realtor. You know, and here's the document, start signing, you know, go for the close right then. All right, so let's just go over the listing presentation. Amy built this for us. This wasn't what I did, but building it, a listing presentation, we've got the templates in Moxie. There's also a Realty One Group Choice listing presentation. So I've taken some pieces from both of them and we put them in here. All right. So you got to build it in PowerPoint first, and then you import it into Moxie. So you just kind of go through it real quick. So what's that? What did I say? PowerPoint. I'm sorry, Canva. Yeah, this was built in Canva.
Paul,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question before you go on to this?
Yeah.
So when it comes to you sending the listing presentation before the actual listing appointment with the price, obviously you haven't seen the home.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
How much of that plays into?
If I followed my seller information sheet, I know how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, I know what square footage it is. I know roughly what updates they've done. So I pick comps, and to be honest with you, sometimes I might pick comps a little bit higher than what they actually are to make it look a little bit better. You know, if I know I'm going up against other agents and stuff like that on it. If I know that they're thinking here and they need to knock them down a little bit, I might pick comps a little bit less. But that's if you got the luxury of having multiple comps. Sometimes you got all you can do finding 2 comps. You know, sometimes I have sent this out without any comps at all, just to kind of more about a presentation for myself. There is a KW agent I used to be in a mastermind with out of Oregon, I think she is, and she closed like 1,500 transactions a year. And she had a big team. She had like 35 agents on her team. And she would have the presentation go out just about the team. She'd send that out ahead of time. She'd have appointments scheduled. Her ISA would set the appointment. She'd have appointments scheduled. She was in and out of the house in 30 minutes. She would meet the people. She'd smooth them a little bit. She'd take her notes on the house. And then she'd say, okay, we'll be back to you within 48 hours with recommended pricing. Then she'd send over, she'd do the adjustments on it, on her CMA, send it over to them. Then the ISA would do the follow-up work to confirm, try to close and get the commitment on the contract. And then they say send all the contracts over for electronic signatures. And then her assistants would take it from there. She literally met the people for 30 minutes, but she was doing 60, 70 listings a month that she was doing. She had her market share was like over 50%. And it was not a small town she was in. Her market share, she owned the market.
And it
But
was just her doing that, not other listing agents that were working on her team?
She said, yes, but she at that time, she was still going in, but then her business kept growing. So I'm guessing she had listing specialists going after that. But at the time she was going in to do that. Yeah, but it was, it's what a machine she was. But she sat down and told us the story. I mean, she started out like everybody else. She started off learning the business and starting from scratch and got to that level. But she had huge market share and stuff. So, all right, just kind of keep rolling through. There's just some generic stuff that a lot of you are. I do have my bio in here. I really don't go into much of that. I kind of give this. If we've got a husband and wife, which one of the husbands or wives are going to read every page of this listing presentation? The ones that are SC, right? Okay. The DI, the one who gets the listing presentation and he looks right to the back page to see what your recommendation, he's your DI, right? Okay, the DI doesn't give a damn about any of this, okay? Does he jive with you or does she jive with you? Are you guys getting along? Are you making it fun for them, educational for them? Are you in the right price range of price? And what's most important to them is what's your commission rate, right? So I just go through this, Amy's bio. Talk about market performance. This is a little bit about my stats. This is some of our marketing, like I kind of talked about, just kind of the generic stuff that we do. And this is our market performance. Meet the team. Love this one, takes a team. If you got anybody that's looking at a for sale by owner, this is such a great image to be giving with them. Who are you hiring to be your escrow processor? Don't ask me what escrow processor is, but I know it has something to do with the title company. Who are you hiring to be your notary? Who are you hiring to be your real estate attorney? When you start getting into that kind of stuff, and they're just sitting there like, well, I didn't think about that. Oh, I didn't think about that. I've had, back when I did new construction, I'd always have that person that would come in and they'd be like, well, we're just going to contract the house myself, the general contract the house myself. I'd hear that all the time. I never knew of one that ended up contracting it themselves. They talk about it and they find out what's involved with it, and then they end up hiring a builder. And the builders generally run about 8 to 12% margin. And when you sit and figure out how much cheaper the builders get their labor, how much cheaper they get the building materials, it will cost a homeowner to be a general contractor way more money to try to do it on their own. Yeah, same with for sale by owner. Okay, keep flying through. Determining the price of preparing to sell. These are all slides out of Realty One Group's presentation, weren't they?
Realty Home Group makes, they're obviously based out of California, so a lot of their stuff is very California, Arizona type of vibe. So like the top right photo, I just took from one of our listings and then just replaced the photo. So even if you look at the basic RV presentation, you're like, this is not comparable to like Minnesota, you can customize any of it and
Mhm.
make it more towards for people.
Yep. Okay, keep rolling. Marketing strategy, kind of talk about, yeah, different things in the marketing that we do. First impressions, I spend so much time on this one, you guys. When I walk up to a house, there is one of the sheets that you got is my to-do list. Okay, this is one of the ways I really get myself in the door with people too, that are just thinking about, I just did one for friends of ours that were old dance parents back when the girls were in school. And I went over to see them and to do a to-do list for them. And they're thinking 4 to 5 years from now. Okay, but that was like 2 years ago when I first met with them. Well, now they're starting to get the work done that I had put together on the to-do list. And then he reached out to me and says, well, we're probably getting closer than 4 or 5 years. So we're thinking next year. So we kind of moved it up and stuff like that. And all started with just doing a to-do list for them, coming up with that. But my to-do list starts with exterior. The first part right here is all about the exterior. And I'm standing, when I get to that house, I'm standing right in front of that house. And then I'm looking at the neighbors' houses. And I'm taking it, what is my first impression? Okay. Well, I got garbage cans in front of the garage door. Pet peeve of mine. Big pet peeve, okay? The bushes have not been trimmed. They didn't edge the lawn. The driveway needs to be seal coated, okay? I'm just writing all this stuff down as I'm looking at it, but that first impression is so important. And when I get to this picture right here, I'd ask them, I said, okay, what do you think about the first impression of your house? Oh, I think our house is great. Our house is the best one looking in the neighborhood. And I go, that's typically what everybody says, because this is your home. This is your comfort place. Okay. What you don't see is you're not getting an objective opinion, getting out of the box thinking on it, because it's your home. So it just opens up the door. First impression is so important. Next one. Maximizing online. Free moving. I do spend a little bit of time talking about that free moving. Moving concierge service. I really think it's a big feather in our cap, because if they're going up against other agents, I don't know of any other agents that are using Move Easy. So, okay, spend a lot of time talking about pricing their home, hitting the market. I love this one here. If you started too high, you're doing price drops on it. You're chasing a market. Unfortunately, here's your market is leaving you already. Okay. When you just put your house on the market, you might have 20 buyers for your property. 3 weeks from now, out of those 20, how many are left? Couple. Yeah, you lost them. So who are you chasing? If you didn't sell it right away and you're doing price drops, who are you chasing? 2 people when you originally had 20. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's a reason there's still 2 people left, out of the market, no man's land, and in the market, I always share with them, out of the market is mean we're not getting showings. And I hate being that agent that's got to make that phone call saying, well, I'm trying this and I'm trying that, I'm trying this and I'm trying that, and I'm not getting any takers. I'm not getting traffic on the website. I'm not getting traffic on my social media posts and stuff like that. We are so high priced that everybody's looking right past your house. Okay. And when you have somebody set up with an auto search and they see that same first picture come over, next, I've already looked at it. Click, move to the next one, right? So you got to talk to about that. I said, no man's land. I always tell them, no man's land, you like me even less, because you're getting your time wasted. People are going out and they're setting up showings on your property, and they're coming back, and you get average, not interested. Average, not interested. That's what you get. And you're like, I just wasted 2 hours of my day driving around or walking up and down a mall again or whatever, just waiting for a showing to get over, or going hanging out at somebody's house making small talk or whatever. So you're just wasting your time. So I really spent some time going over those slides. One home, three options. Everybody knows about that. That's in the room and stuff. I do go over that platform. What's that? Yeah, it usually doesn't look like that. So I do testimonials, what our past clients have said. Yeah, follow us. So I think that's probably the last page. Yeah, last page on that one. So that's my listing presentation. Obviously, when I put it into Moxie, then I'm inserting in my comps and doing my adjustments to the comps and everything else. We don't have time to go over that today. But okay, so go over that comps with them. When I go, I send this ahead of time. When I go in, it just depends. Who I'm working with right now is people that I've already done business with. I got a nice $800,000 lake home that's going to be going on the market next week up in Motley. And those people have bought and sold 3 other properties with me. They're not even talking to anybody else. I do things differently than them, right? I sent this out. I'm going to meet with them and I'm just coming up with my comps. That's all I'm coming up with. I've sent them the comps. I let them know when I originally sent to them, I had comps on there, but I hadn't seen their property. So I let them know I'd make adjustments on it. When I saw their property, I had to go back and send them over the comps afterwards, and I made adjustments to it, and we zeroed in on the price, and we're locked in at a really good price. They're happy with it, and I'm happy with it. I know it's going to sell right away. So you just got to kind of adjust that differently accordingly what you're going to be doing. Okay. When you are when I go in after sending them this ahead of time, I'm probably going in with just, I hate to say this because it's a kiss of death for some agents that are doing that. When I'm going in on that listing presentation, I've already sent the presentation over them. I'm asking them, did you get a chance to go over the presentation I sent you? The SC says, yes, I've gone over it, checked it all out. The DI says, no, my wife looked at it, or my husband looked at it, whichever one's the SC, right? And I'll just ask, is there any questions that you had on it? Is there any thoughts that you had about the comparables that I used? Okay. And just try to start feeling that out. Now I'm coming there and I'm coming with my comps, and I do bring in the comps, and I do bring in pictures of the comps and stuff like that, that I'm going to sit down and talk with them. I'm not talking about my presentation anymore. I'm just talking about comps and adjustments with it. Now I might verbally make some changes to my subject property to make it better match the comps, with them while I'm there. Okay, well, in my presentation I sent you over, I use this comp right here, but I didn't know that you had that extra bedroom in the basement, or I didn't know that, so we need to make some adjustments for that. But I'm just going through that with them because I found out that, okay, all of the fluff and everything that's on the listing presentation, they've seen it, they're fine with it. I'm here for a reason. I just want to zero in on the price, right? And then I get into the price, and I will pull out, well, my recommendation on your house is going to be 600 to 625. And shut up and watch their body reaction. See what they're doing. Okay. If he's looking at his watch, he's leaning back in his chair, that's not good. We got to reel him back in, right? If they're leaning over, elbows on the table, they're ready to sign a contract. As for the close, go for the contract, right? You get it contracted, you get a commitment to them. What I do then, a couple different things. This feature sheet, as I'm going through measuring out the house, I'm filling out this information on a feature sheet. I want to know what kind of hardwood floors it is. What are the cabinets, right? Is there tile floors or is it LVP? Different type of things like that. So I'm just making some notes on this sheet right here, and this is where I'm putting in my room sizes. I'm doing that on that sheet. And then this to-do list that as I'm also filling that out at the same time, I ask for them to leave me alone for about 45 minutes or so. If I've got that commitment that they're going to do business with me, I'm going to start working on a to-do list while I'm there, right? But I need to get in my zone to do this. And the one thing I really, really like about this to-do list is you see it's got flooring, countertops, cabinets, lighting, doors, windows, sink fixtures, appliances, paint, other. And just when you walk into a room, all right, first one's flooring. Yeah, flooring looks good. We're clean. Check. Countertops. Oh, we've got blue marble countertops. Okay, we can do laminate countertops, high definition for probably $1,500 in here, right? So I'll put a little note in there, recommend. I have it categorized by must do, should do's, and could do's. I used to use that all the time for that. Now I'm kind of just putting down what I really need, they think that they need to do with roughly what's the cost going to be. Okay, but going through that room by room by room with them. And then when I get done with this, then I'm going to grab them, I'm going to walk around, okay? And it just depends on the people. Again, it's a little different for me that, you know, people that I'm dealing with, I know that they're signing. I can send them, I can leave and send them over the contract electronic signatures afterwards. To be honest, I probably will do that to make it the most convenient. Than sitting there doing all the paperwork right at the time. If I've got other ones that could be a little flaky, I might be doing the paperwork right then, right? But on this to-do list, I do like to walk around, going room to room with them and what my recommendations are. And I'll ask them, I said, you know, do you have subcontractors to do this kind of work? Or did you want to use my recommended vendors? You know, and I want to give them a rough idea. What am I thinking for price range? And always be careful with that one. Because if you're telling them it's going to be 20 grand, ends up being 35 grand, you don't have a happy client anymore. You know, so it helps it when you really break it down into each. If I'm going through this and I go, okay, countertops 1,500, paint's going to be 750. Kind of help you out a little bit on that. Paint, generally figure about $2 a square foot. You know, so if this bathroom is 150 square foot, yeah, my painter is going to be $300, but guess what? It's got wallpaper removal. It's got a lot of taping that's going to do. I'm going to probably use an estimate of 450. You know, so I just kind of break that down, what that estimate is. Okay.
I also think it's really important because not everybody can do that right away. So I think it's also okay if you're like identifying the things that need to be done and you bring in the vendors and you get the
Yeah.
quotes for them. I mean, I just like when I know like a lot of the newer agents that I work with, I mean, this would be super stressful and overwhelming to them. It takes a really long time to be able to do this. Or maybe you reps builders, which I have too, or, you know, you are a builder. But you know what I mean? To be able to give those quotes out, 'cause
Mhm.
it can be dangerous. I think
Yeah.
you kind of got to know where you're at.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in.
Right.
But I think it's just as helpful to get all the people together and let them do the quotes. I think that's just as, it might take a little bit longer, but I think that's also sets you apart and everybody does that.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
one other thing you
Yep.
can do too is get them into the move easy right away. Even if you don't have a transaction, still sign them up. They can go through your vendor list. Everybody here has the ability to add their own vendors on the move easy.
Yeah.
So then they're getting your personalized page, they're seeing your vendors with your face.
Yeah.
And being on set.
I typically do meet the vendors out there, but a lot of times it's going to be, I mean, you know, what does everybody want? They don't want to have to do any work and they want top price for the house, right? And that doesn't work that way. So, you know, you got to overcome that objection. And a lot of different ways you can do it. I'll be just like, you know, so let me guess, you want top dollar for your house, but you don't want to put any money into it, you know? And I get a big smile on my face and they're like, well, yeah, pretty much. Okay. You probably know that that's not going to happen, right? You know, I can sell your house as is if you want, but it's going to be at an as is price. Okay. You're not going to get top value for it. Okay. But, and I'll talk just generalities. If you invest $10,000 into your house, I assure you that we'll probably get somewhere around $20,000 to $25,000 more for your house on a $10,000 investment. Big time, you know, it's definitely worth it. No, you know, and do that. But I will meet my painter and my flooring guy and whoever else, electrician, stuff like that out there to get good hard bids on it and stuff like that. Absolutely. Yeah. To-do list is really important, but this also, it's a way for you to get your foot in the door. Okay.
Hey, Paul,
Yep.
have you worked with anybody like Curbio or one of those companies that will kind of finance the repairs and everything, like $10,000 and, you know, or sometimes
Right.
it's even more than that is a big chunk, and especially if they don't have that.
Right.
How do you kind of navigate that?
I do it. I'm Curbio. I
Okay,
just pay for it myself. And then I add on to the commission rate to do that.
Okay,
So when I do a net sheet, and there is some net sheets, net sheet that I use in the folders. No, the one that went around, the two folders that went around, I had net sheets in there. But yeah, if I do it, I'm gonna go like 7 or 7.5%, then I'm gonna charge commission if I'm gonna general contract it.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna carry it, use my money.
Mhm.
And then I just got it worked out with my painter. I'll give my painter like 30-40%. I'll give the flooring guy 50%. Just work out with them and then I get reimbursed at the end, at closing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I want to charge extra commission to do that. But I've heard good things about Curbio. Does anybody use them at all? Did we? We should get Curbio in here.
I think we did, I don't remember when,
Boy, I don't remember that.
yeah,
Good synergy, whatever.
Okay.
it wasn't Kirby, it was another company. like-
The other things I've heard about Kirby is that it was pretty high price.
Oh, I'm sure it's high price. Yeah,
People have to expect that.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Garrett.
Speaking of that, what happens if they end up not selling their home? and you-
Well, that's on the brokerage disclosure that if any, that they have to initial, that if any contractors are performing work on there, that they're guaranteed, if they decide not to sell or the house doesn't sell, that they have to pay the contractors. I've never had to exercise it. I've gotten close at times. But that's always came through for me. But I'm setting it up that, I'm not gonna put my money out unless it's lock, stock and barrel is gonna happen. Yeah. But I'm sure Curbio's got a lot of different things. Let's see if we can get Curbio in here, maybe to be a vendor in one of the upcoming synergy sessions again.
The one that, would carry the loan or whatever that was.
That's the one home, knock.com. For sure they do it, yeah, yeah. Yeah, knock.com, unfortunately, our very first transaction with them did not go good.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, Rosalind had one with knock.com and the financing, they screwed up really bad. So the house appraised first, and then the underwriter decided they didn't like the appraisal, so they requested a second appraisal. The second appraisal came in $75,000 light. Yeah, and so they were trying to do a bridge loan for the $75,000 that couldn't go on. It was a separate outside of the mortgage bridge loan. They were trying that when she stepped in and says, nope, and took it away from them and went to an outside lending source and a house appraised and they didn't have to do a bridge loan and stuff like that. So yeah, our first situation with them was not great. What really ticks me off is that when I reached out to my rep on it 3 different times, he never called me back at all. Yeah, and I know they laid off a bunch of people and they're one of those companies that jumped in when, everything was selling so fast that who knows what's going to happen now when things are slowing down.
So isn't that part of your one home?
103 options, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Is that changed or do we would just amend that if we use that?
Yeah, I don't, haven't got that far to
But,
think
yeah.
on that. So, there might be some other options that we have out there and stuff like that. Yeah.
It might be a lender question, but I've had that happen too, where the home might appraise for more than what the home's appraised at, and then they want to order a second appraisal, hoping to get it closer to what they, like the list price. What's the reasoning behind that?
So the house appraised more and they ordered a second appraisal? They just didn't trust the lender. So that is a underwriter that, is definitely looking out for the company first. That they just think that lender, that appraiser really doesn't know what they're talking about if that went that high. So, if you get 4 appraisals on 4 different days, you're getting 4 different numbers, right? Okay, another one I put in here, listing overview. This is just a sheet that I have. They fill this out to turn it in. It helps if you're using listing coordinating, it helps out the listing coordinator and stuff like that for ordering. When a picture is going to be ready, what's the lockbox code, all this kind of stuff. When I had a team, this was so important because I had a couple listing agents that are going and we had to have everything the same. So when he went to the admin, they knew what the heck they were doing with it. So I put that in there for you. And then I just give you an idea of all the steps, if you're going in on a listing presentation, hear this document. When they say that your commission's too high, let me show you what you're paying for. And let them take a look at that. And say, this is what we do for you. That's part of my 3.3% commission. I have people to do this because I can't do all this. So I have people in place to do this for you. Okay. But that's a good document for you to share. Any of these documents, if you need it in a Word format, reach out to Amy. She'll send it over to you. Okay, so we over, I'm sure, 12:19
Yeah.
by a long shot. Okay. All right, sorry about that. All things listings. All right, let's finish up with this. What's your first step? What's the first thing that you're going to do? Come on. If you're gonna make this commitment to be a listing specialist, increase your listings, what's your first step? Andy,
Mindset,
mindset? Okay, it starts with that,
business plan.
mindset, business plan. That's your first thing you gotta do.
Yep.
So you need value proposition. Sets you apart. You need marketing steps. Kind of a lot of that stuff that we talked about and everything else, but it has to start with this. You have to put together a plan of how you're going to do this, right? Step 2. Time block it. Set yourself up an hour or two, a couple days a week to work on your business plan. Okay. Time block it. You need to develop the marketing of it. Right? What else in step 2? Time block it, develop your marketing of everything. You need to, I'm just going to put packets together. Like I shared with you. Okay, step 3, spread the word, right? This is everything that we, pick your 6 things on this one right here, 6 things that you're going to do. Your CMA, your the just listed, just sold, circle prospecting, all that kind of stuff. All right. Step 4, reach out to Sphere, Farm, etc. And step 5 is spend your money. Yeah. There you go. Order more for sale signs. All right. Yeah, I think making the plan really is all in step 1 and step 2. Okay. Activities required. Remember this from our previous one. Social media homes need a plan to address pain points. Social media, website, lead capture. You should have a separate page on your website. That you could send people directly to your website. If you're going to put your business plan together and you got a good marketing piece on that, I'd put that in your website. Make sure your Google My Business is up to date. Get your farming newsletters done. Make sure you're up to date with Zillow, Yelp, LinkedIn, Rate My Agent, Home Spotter, whether you're going to use real marketing, home actions, maintenance reminders, those are some activities. And then you want to track your activities. Tracking is really, really important. You want to know if I ask you, what is your conversion rate for a listing appointment to contract? Does anybody know what theirs is? Probably not, right? You really need to know what it is. If you're running 75%, you're above average. You're doing really, really great. But if you're running 30%, 25, 30%, 35%, you got to figure out why. Do some role playing with one of the other agents and figure out what are you doing wrong so that you can increase that conversion rate. You following me still?
No.
It's not. It's not following me. There's that. Okay. All right. Thoughts? Feedback?
Very good stuff.
This is the time you got to do it. This is the absolute perfect time to get into it. Work on listings, change your mindset and develop that plan. So we need more listings for the office. You need more listings. You go into the winter market, and you're known as a marketing specialist, a listing specialist, you're gonna set yourself up to just sail right on through the winter time, so. Cool. All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thanks for everybody coming.